Perfect. So we're back with another episode of our sales podcast, and we've come up with a title, haven't we?
Yep, finally. It took a while, but we are called From Likes to Leads, which actually took quite a bit of time because there's a lot of random ones like your social selling masterclass, your sales perfections.
Sales sorcery.
Is that a real one?
Yeah.
Sales fails. I don't know if everyone ever heard of that one, but yeah, it took some time, but we thought, what do we do? So we like to talk about social selling. People typically come to us because they've got sales problems. We like to talk about personal branding, which is your likes, your impressions. So why not call it From Likes to Leads?
From Likes, and that's where we are now.
So yeah. What do you guys think?
When you first said that, I was like, "Wow, it's so cheesy." But then I was just like, "Well, actually, you say it was one of those things where you say enough, and then you're like, oh, okay, like the podcast." You imagine someone in like London walking down the street going like, "Oh, I've listened to it."
It does flow well, to be fair, doesn't it?
And I think without knowing what we do, you'd go From Likes to Leads. What else could that be?
Yeah. From likes to leads on LinkedIn. Okay.
Too long.
Too long.
That's like it's only episode 2, and I managed to shoot all my way into the podcast, which is nice.
Yeah. Luke just turned up to our podcast today, wanted to join us. So
I just set up a mic. There we go. I'm here.
Perfect. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about evolving your sales process. So I think with sales processes and with selling, we've even experienced it. You have big corporate companies where they've been doing it for years and years and they've been trying a lot of different stuff. And then you have a lot of people that we speak to where they're like, oh, Josh, Curtis, Luke, I'm a new business altogether, or I'm the first salesperson at the company. How do I even get up and running? So we want to cover a lot today and a lot of different topics. Okay. So what I'm going to start off with is, why is it important to have a sales process and how often should you be evolving it?
Yeah. I think these days with sales, because they're becoming so complex, there's just so much to it. So I've been in sales since from uni, so it's all I really can remember. Now, yeah, I'm old. It's the only skill I have. But I just remember when I was working in sales, and I've been in estate agency, I've been in car rental, I've been in the betting industry. Sales to me felt not easy, but it's very simple. So I go in, you've got to ring 100 people per day. There's a script that you have to be careful of. You're meeting people face to face. It's just about being polite, all of those normal communication skills. Now with the world evolving, people working remotely, there's so many decision makers, companies are being more tight on budgets. It's not as simple as, I just want to speak to you and explain my proposition. Yeah. Getting to that person's hard enough. So when you bring something in like LinkedIn, we all work on LinkedIn every single day and we get people every single day going, where the hell do you start? Because you've got Sales Navigator, you've got content, you've got direct outreach, you've got newsletters, you've got paid advertising, you've got email marketing, you've got lead magnets. They think, where the hell do I start?
And that's just LinkedIn as well, isn't it? Because then you've got like your emails, your cold calling.
You've got
people that want to like integrate their CRMs.
I've seen cold calling have a surge lately. I've been cold called. It never happened to me before. And I was on a car going up to Birmingham and I actually got my first like cold call properly. And I was like, I don't have any form of like phone or number anywhere, but I got a call. And part of me was just like, okay, I'm not going to be too rude because obviously we're in the business of, social selling and sales processes. But really I was just like, this is weird. The initial thing was, this is weird. And I feel like most business owners feel like selling is weird. Like it's foreign because they have a product they want to, deliver. And now we're like, okay, now become a salesperson, now sell that product to me. And it's just like, I've just spent like nearly 2 years. I know I've left this corporate job. I want to take my knowledge expertise out here. I've spent all of these years making something I like to, to give to someone. And someone goes, the game's changed now. You have to be how you sell this. I just want to make something good.
Yeah.
So that's why I think many people get into social selling and everything. They don't have a sales process. They just go, I have something I want to show. Best way for me to show it. And then hopefully people buy it.
And not as a negative, anyone and most people who create a business, they're not sales orientated, are they? Like they're probably not even process driven a lot of the time. That most people go, actually, I'm very good at what I do, very passionate about what I do. Weirdly, I've landed clients without even trying to, which is typically referrals, colleagues. So they go, how do I now have to take this to market? So the only way and the only thing we think is just need to shout, make noise. But actually, if we're making noise, trying it here, trying it a bit here, trying this new shiny object, we know everyone's got short attention spans when it comes to social. Like even when you're ringing people, people say you've got to have a full step follow-up process. You need to ring this many times. You need to do this templates. Even with email marketing these days, they're saying like the average emails you should be sending out is about 3 or 4 per week. So there has to be a sequence, or else it just gets jumbled up and people go, what the hell are you talking about? What do you offer? I don't get what you're saying.
I think as well, you have like two, if we're just looking at business owners, you'll have like your business owner where they've gone like, I've been in the corporate world for like 10 years, I want to do something, and they're not used to selling. And then you also get it the other way where you've got like the salesperson who starts their business and they're very, very good at like the processes and selling, but they lack when it comes to like delivering. So you do have like both ends of the spectrum really, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like any other skill, whether you're doing sport, whether you're learning bakery, you've always got to have a plan. You've always got to have a goal. Because the reason for that is if you've got those goals and your plan, you can build a process, but the way you can determine if your process is working or not, you go, how far am I away from that milestone? How far am I away from that goal? Do I need to review this and change my process? Do I need to do X?
I feel like people's processes have to revolve around what type of people they are. Because if you're very like regimented and you're good with spreadsheets and you're really good at like knowing when you've communicated with someone and you've got your list and you've gone through your list, very meticulous, but you kind of like get stuck in that meticulous approach and therefore you forget, oh, maybe this person doesn't answer the phone on a Monday because we have to pick up kids from school and I forgot about that. But in my sheet, it's got make sure I follow up on Monday. You know what I mean? So you can like kind of have an approach where it's a little bit too regimented and then you forget the personal bit of trying to like get someone on your side, you know, grow out a relationship, wondering even if they actually are the right fit for your product, because obviously sales isn't just about finding everyone and going, do you want this? Getting the numbers in and going, yeah, great, I sold something, because then you can have a whole batch of problems after the fact, like you said before. You need to be the right person. Yeah. And working that out and going through it all and the whole sales process of doing that, I feel when you review it, you have to make sure it's in a way where it's matching up to your strengths and then it also back up your weakness.
Yeah. And it's like reviewing it, but also understanding what you're reviewing. So
you can just review everything, can't you?
Yeah. And like, obviously we've all worked for Maverrik for a long time. And obviously to tell any viewers here that, or listeners, we were always quite not clumsy, but we were a bit of a messy company, weren't we? In the sense that we grew very fast. We were one of those where let's fly the plane and we build it at the same bloody time. So we didn't really have those processes. We were like, okay, we don't really understand why it's not working. We sort of can guess why it's not working.
But it's a guess, isn't it?
But then we went, let's capture data. And we just started capturing a whole load of data. We were thinking, actually, what are we trying to figure out here and how are we going to use this data? So I think for anyone who's actually reviewing their process, you need to go, okay, if I've not hit this milestone, what data should I be tracking? Once I've got that data, what should that be telling me and what do I need to tweak in my process? So like Luke says, if actually trying to get people on Monday and they're actually not around and I'm actually very good on cold calling and I'm very good at outreach to people, why not I move that to a Tuesday or Wednesday when actually they're in office, they finished their busiest day, and now I'm maximizing my strengths. So it's just going, once you've got that data, one, know what you're measuring, but two, understand how to action that data, or else you're just capturing data for data's sake. And we fell in that nasty trap where
I think
we had spreadsheets.
I was collecting a lot of data because like you said, we built a plane whilst it was flying and then we were like, shit, now we need to like do everything. So we need to now figure out what the issue is. The way to do that was to just get as much data as possible and then work it out from that. But we ended up having so much data, we were in the exact same issue. We had the exact same issue.
I think Mav's upstairs doing data right now. Yeah. Like, why isn't this working? I kept messaging, but nothing came through.
We've got too much data. I'm just going to bark like crazy.
That's the thing. What happens is when you review something, you try and find patterns, but sometimes you can find patterns which aren't there.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, actually, if I do this on this certain time, then I'm going to get this result. And then it doesn't happen. And you're like, oh,
Yeah, like think of how many times I've had a sales call before, and I do pretty much the exact same thing every time. Someone will love that approach, and then you try like a line or you say something on your next one, and it's not like a bad response, but it's not the positivity that you're adding in that one. You're like, you can't measure stuff like that, can you? It's impossible.
You go, you start doubting yourself. You go, should I change my whole process? And you go, but then you've got to realise, realistically, you can't win everything, can you? So it's just going, tying that in with your strategy, but also your review process.
I think as long as you don't take it to heart as well and realise you are trying to fix something, that's a big thing in it all as well, isn't it?
And the important thing is when you're getting going, it's almost, you want to be in that mindset of experimentation. Because if you're going to go, nope, I'm not implementing until I got the perfect strategy or the perfect plan. Guys, girls, that never happens. It just doesn't happen. Like Luke said at the start earlier as well, things are always going to tweak. Like your Mondays, you think, great, I've got the perfect day. Nope, they're not actually in. I now need to move that to Wednesday. There's a bit of flexibility there. And it's just understanding that you have to experiment and you don't know what's going to work until you actually implement.
And then you get a lot of people who will experiment before implementing, and they're like, oh, I need to make everything inch perfect. I need to know what to do on every single day. And they become so obsessed with this process. And then you speak to them 3 weeks later and they haven't done anything. They're tweaking it already.
Like, I sent out 2 emails, it didn't work, so I decided to just go all in on cold calling. And that didn't work. So, okay, why did it? I walked around and I knocked on their doors instead. It was like, you didn't give anything time to settle. You didn't give like any, time for you to actually get some good data in. Because I feel like a good test pool is important as well. Because even if you try approach and you don't stick with it, that approach could be right. Because it's the social selling approach. I feel like if it doesn't get immediate results, a lot of people can put it in the bin. Because it's like, oh, well, I've tried being nice and commenting and liking, but no one's reciprocating. And it's like, well, it could be something wrong, which, you needed to go to maybe a different person, someone who was more active. Could be anything. But they go, don't like that, I'm going to try a newsletter instead. I'm going to get people in and then sell via a newsletter. Oh, that didn't work, I'll try email marketing. This isn't like saying any of that's wrong. It's just saying that you need to try and work out why something's going wrong rather than trying to jump on something else, which I feel we've done before. We've done that many times, and it'll be dumb to say that we didn't do that before.
I think everyone does it, doesn't it?
And like even a prime example now, what Luke and Matt actually handle is we run. I mean, I remember even when I first started, we were running an event all around the whole UK. Very popular. We've done very well. Happened, and we were like, holy crap, what even is COVID? And then that just scared everyone away. We came back, and I would say for maybe a good year and a half, we just went, let's do what we done last time and just stick with that. We didn't really review it very well. We didn't really have a new plan in place. Obviously, Luke's taken over that now. Great job, Luke, by the way.
Finally.
And Luke's really reviewed and going, you know what? We've done this well. We've not done this very well. And literally the results now, we're running 3 paid events every single week. Luke's monitoring all of the things he needs to measure. But the backstory to that was there was a moment in time where we were going, we're selling a lot of like programs, a lot of corporate workshops. Do we really need events? Because actually it's hard and it's just not working.
But we could have given up, couldn't we?
Yeah. And we were very close because we just thought, what's the point? People don't want to go to events. But sometimes it just needs that, we need to do something different. Or that new eye that Luke and Matt had where they were like, okay, actually things aren't working here because we were doing this the same, or actually we've not got the events up early enough. We're not diversifying our events enough.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like you said, Luke, we can get to that shiny object syndrome, which we did have. We were like, we're selling programs. Do we need events? And we'd be gutted if we sold that in, because now we're selling 3 paid events all around the UK.
Yeah.
Dean's happy because he's in US one moment and then Dubai the next moment. So
all holidays are running in there.
I think even like what you're saying there, like a lot of companies, and I mean, just to give you a bit of background, we speak to a lot of like coaches and consultants, and the amount of times they like, even outside of their process, they'll like change their offer, what they're selling, even stuff like that. That can even change with your sales approach, because if you're offering one audience something else and then the next week you're offering them a completely new service, then that might not resonate with them in the same way.
I think it's hard because they sometimes, if it doesn't sell, you start to not believe in what you're selling.
Yeah.
And that can be a bit awful when it is someone's own business
Yeah.
or is their expertise, because more likely than not, they've gone, okay, I've been in this position in a high position role for a long time now. I can take that and I can help other businesses. I can help small businesses grow to this scale. I can help them scale and I can really help people. And then it's a case of, oh, maybe I'm giving away too little, too much. Maybe I'm not giving out the right stuff. And if you don't sell, you start to question, you start to doubt.
Yeah, self-doubt, isn't it? A lot of it as well.
Which, I mean, I guess having that process and that sales process does help keep you on track, because you can then go into the route of, I need to just keep changing my product until it sells, rather I need to change my approach in sales before.
Yeah, I think it just, without even trying, it changes your mindset, but gives you confidence, because you go, I've got a plan, I've got a strategy. I know I need to, when they say stick to the game plan, it's because they've got that game plan where they go, I know I need to stick to this to see the fruit at the end, or see the riches at the end. Some people, if you don't have that plan, you go, actually, if is what I'm selling, is the process that I'm trying actually working, because you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just trying, and then that's full of self-doubt anyway, because you go, I'm just guessing here, I'm winging it.
But then I think the good thing as well is when you're at that point where everything starts to work as well, then you feel like all of the hard work you've done, you're now benefiting from. So like even the stuff with you, there's probably one point when we were barely getting ticket revenue. I know we had an event where we had like 2 people turn up and it was a free event, but now you're going, we're able to sell thousands of tickets every single day. It's good that we can now benefit from that, and we can see all the hard work and that process we've put in has helped us.
It's actually really good. It's actually a good
This chair's so uncomfortable.
It's actually a good example, because events run of like, you get this big, it's kind of like a product launch where you do like this big thing at the start where it's all new. You're like, yeah, I'm interested in that. You get a few ticket sales come in, and then once it's been established and people know about it for a while, the hype kind of goes down, and then you don't do as much, you don't sell as much. Right at the end, you do like a little, last chance, FOMO, missing out, get in. That's kind of the wave that you sort of like ride. That's why we kind of do a lot of different events. We don't just stick on one. If we just did one event per year, we have to make it a big blowout, because obviously we do quite a few. But I think that's how people react when it comes to our own like sort of deal cycles of just like the initial interest, where they say, I want a call because I'm interested in the product. Cool. That's the big wave. Then it dies down when you're doing the chasing. And I think this is kind of where the selling really does happen, because you have to like keep them involved in your world, keep them talking about you, understanding about the solution that you're offering. And then at the end, the final bit of calls, if that's another like missing out, look, if you don't implement this, if you don't join us, you're not going to see these results and get the solution. You can go and get a different solution, but I promise you, we've worked it through, we've talked for ages. This is probably where you need to be going. So that's the kind of way that we do events, and it's probably kind of way we do with the cycle as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, they always say statistically, in any industry, only 3% of people are ready to buy any given product at any given time. So the chances of you finding them are quite slim. I mean, like the people who are ready to buy there and then. Sometimes you get people, and I don't know where they are on that cycle, but you get people who feel like they want to change. And they're like, oh yes, I want to jump on this webinar. I'm going to reach out to Maverrik. I'm going to show interest here. But we all know actually deep down they're like, that's a lot of work. I don't want to be doing this.
Welcome to sales, isn't it?
Yeah. And like Luke says, it's having that process to go, how do you keep that excitement there? Or actually, how do you remain the top figure? So when they go, I've tried my hardest for the past few years, something's clearly not working. I've somehow got a bit of cash, a bit of cash flow. Maverrik seems to be the go-to expert at this. I'm going to take that next step and commit. Sometimes commitment, it can take years to build for some people. Sometimes it can take weeks, months. But it's just going, how do you have that process in place to go, when they do have that dip of interest, how do you bring it back up? If they dip again, have you got anything else to bring that back up? But then how do you have those pieces at the end to go, when they're really on the fence, how do you create that FOMO? You need to take this next step and do those things.
I mean, I even had it with someone who I spoke to. Gosh, it must have been from now, it was 3 years ago. He joined us a couple of months back now, but he was like very, very keen. But I know like he was involved in a different program, and LinkedIn was something he wanted to pursue, but it was going to be like another 3 or 4 months. And then I think something else happened in his business, and he kept like putting me off every time I would follow up. He was like very transparent with me. But because I kept checking in, I kept like inviting him to stuff. If we ran anything for free or gave him some value, moving on like 2.5 years later, he said, Josh, we've had a few big changes. yeah, I'm ready to go ahead. But because I was able to keep him at that point for so long, like you mentioned with the events or when people are on the fence, that's the sort of thing you need to look at as well, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's not just doing an email like, "Oh, are you still interested? It's been a week now,
Yeah.
and you didn't write back to me. Maybe maybe you're interested now." It's not that, because obviously we provide. We say that value sells itself, and people buy from people. So, kind of why you guys started this podcast originally was to get people to know you, a little personality, a little bit more than just having putting the solution out there and then going, "This is how you get in. This is how you make loads of money."
Yeah, so everyone who watches this, we're going to sell to.
This is our natural secrets, guys. So
get in. There's a call link right below.
Yeah, I think with sales process, with sales, there's no, like I always hear you say, there's no like silver bullet. You just need to be consistent. You need to make sure you're doing everything, you're sticking to your game plan, and then things will start to fall into place.
What do you say about a corporate team of a member who has going through a sales process currently? They're brought in, they have a process, they have a handbook. This is how we do things. What would you say to someone who was thinking, okay, I've seen how I see the intake process, I know all the I've read all the literature. How would you reckon they should approach then saying, okay, I want to maybe try a different approach. Maybe I want to try LinkedIn and creating content and spending some of my day doing that. Because it is quite a tough sell going from, I'm just going to start calling people and emailing people, to now I want to, write some posts and provide some value and showcase on social a bit more.
I'll add something to that as well, just before Curtis gives his answer. With LinkedIn and with social selling or with implementing something new, people will always go, right, I'm doing all my sales process at the moment. I've got 10 salespeople cold calling or email marketing or reaching out to people, whatever they're doing. Right, LinkedIn is here now. We need to sack everything off and just use LinkedIn. But what you should be doing, and I think you would agree with this, is LinkedIn should be a part of it anyway. So it's not just going, right, we're going to sack off all of our other sales activities. We need to go, how can we use LinkedIn as that way to like build up that initial curiosity, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just going, do like a full SWOT analysis or any sort of analysis that you would do internally and go, where are our strengths and where are our weaknesses? If we're good at referrals, if we're good at calling, if we're going to build some new process, and same if you're bringing in any CRM, you're not just going, it's going to replace that sequence, or we're just going to do this way or the highway kind of thing. It's going, actually, if we're good on the phone, how do we get more phone, or actually how do we get better responses when we ring them? How do we get the people who aren't on the phone? So that's where LinkedIn fits into it, and that's what we're going to be doing. But I would say anyone who's going to be implementing something new, like you asked, Luke, I would say it really depends on a couple of things, actually. So initially, it's about having that plan in place. Yeah. Okay. So if you've got a plan, I've spoken to a lot of corporate people where they've gone, I know we've got to try LinkedIn. And I'm like, what's your sales process? And he goes, doing a bit of posting. I've outreached a couple of times. And
everyone else on LinkedIn.
So there's no coherent strategy. Like, it's just going, if you want to really get into a really fit body and lose loads of weight, you might go, yeah, I want to go to the gym later. I might do a bit of legs. Yeah. Tonight I'm going to eat chicken. Maybe I might have a bit of a dessert. Do you mean, like, you're always going to get very slow progress? So it's having that plan in place to go, okay, if we're going to start to bring LinkedIn, which is a new strategy, let's understand all of the features and all of the things that work well. Then going, okay, let's not get the shiny object syndrome. Let's be realistic here. If we're going to focus on the other sales activities, like your cold calling, so that doesn't slip, email marketing, we're good at that. I've probably actually got 2 hours of time a week for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be doing content, outreach, events, newsletters, because then that would take up too much time. But you might go, okay, why don't we all work together and do one monthly event? But let's just do one post per week and maybe 10, 20 outreaches on active people on LinkedIn. That covers our 2 hours. The next part is going, okay, if you're actually going to commit to this, and we all say we want to do something, but we never actually meet it. So, like, if you look at the journey me and Josh are on, and feel free to check out our profiles, we have posted content, not every day, but majority of days. We've grown our connections most days since we've joined, haven't we? Because we've had to. Sorry, Dean, if you're listening, because we've had to. Not because we've enjoyed it, not because we had a goal, not because we had a plan. So even when we was writing content, there was no intent behind it. And we'd get leads now and again, but from how long we've posted, our engaged community is quite poor, really, isn't it? So over the past month, me and Josh have gone, what's our plan? What's our strategy? We want to build our personal brand. We want to achieve these goals, these milestones. But instead of going, we need to do it, because we've said this for the past 6 months, haven't we? We've not done it. We've actually gone, let's make that change and let's prioritize the time. Like, we're all busy people, but you always make time for stuff you really want to do, don't you? Like, no matter how busy you are, some person could go, I don't have time for the gym. I don't have time to cook healthy meals. But if someone went, do you want to come to my party tonight? Last minute, you go, oh, I'd love to go to a party.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, I'm going, yeah. So we make things happen. So what we've done here, we go actually...
Depends whose pie is.
Yeah, depends whose pie it is. But
Sorry, I'm on LinkedIn right now.
I got my comments.
But what we've done is we go, okay, if we need to be more, have some more presence on the platform, let's diarise that time before, instead of going, how much time do we have left? We've now gone, and it's only a slight tweak to mindset. We've gone, we need to dedicate 2 hours per week. Let's block out a Thursday, 9 to 10 a.m. and let's block out a Tuesday, 9 to 10 a.m. So we make sure it happens. So my advice to really anyone who's implemented time, yes, make that plan, and yes, commit, and yes, say you want to make the change, but actively seek that time out. Because there's a big difference of going, I'm going to block the time, I'm going to make sure I do it, as opposed to, I should be spending 2 hours a week. Let's see if I've got enough time at the end of my jobs or at the end of my proposals and calls to do it. It just doesn't happen.
It is habit building, isn't it? Because like you said, if someone really wants to do something, they'll do it. Like if you, a gym analogy, you can burn out if you try it all at once. Like you said, with all the newsletters and all your events and the rest of it.
Simple steps.
Yeah, if you run in and you start doing everything, and then you just, after like a week or two, you're like, it's just so much.
Your body's going to be aching. You go, who the hell wants to put themselves through that? Why would I do that again? Isn't it?
Yeah, and then you go like, oh, it's a different type of person. This is for not me. I can't do this.
No, like no one ran a marathon and went, I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow. You might go. Someone might. And
be very sore after.
And but most people go, you know what? I've never ran before. Here's my plan. Here's what I'm going to do with diet. Here's what I'm going to do with the right running shoes. Here's what I might wear. Liquids. I'm going to start by running 1K. I'm going to start by running 2K. I'm going to start by running 3K.
Yeah.
Until that becomes a habit, then it's much more easier. But it's really making that plan, prioritizing the time. Because if you went, I'm going to run a marathon in 3 months' time, but you never actually dedicated a day where you're going to run, who's to say you're going to run?
And also some people just need like someone next to them doing it as well, because you guys got each other with the team as well.
Yeah.
So you blocked out and go, okay, we're both going to post, and you hold each other accountable for that, which is good. If you're like a business owner on your own, you can kind of, you can talk to other business owners and say, hey, are you posting as well? And then obviously there's support communities. Obviously we offer that because we do. That makes it so even if you really don't want to do it that day, someone else is going to be like, oh, why didn't you post? Like,
it can be lonely for a lot of people, so can it?
Yeah, definitely.
If they'll get, if they've got engagement, got no likes to turn into leads, you'll be like, well, what am I doing this for? Like I feel like I'm just shouting into the ether about this problem that people are definitely having, I can solve, but no one's buying, no one's talking, and no one's asking any questions. So, but there's things you can do. Obviously, there's podcasts worth of like content you can consume about that sort of stuff. But not getting disheartened, I feel like, is a bit.
Yeah, not just consuming loads and loads of content and not doing stuff as well. I think that's such a big thing these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
I watch so much online.
You can get researchers who just do it and do it and do it. And then online will contradict itself, where half of it will say that you
and then you end up doing nothing.
Yeah, and then you're like, well, I could start on this, but then this is obviously the best way of doing it. And then, the trend's over now, so I'm not going to get a return. Oh, shit.
Yeah. But I think, even with like the disheartening thing, like that's a big factor. I feel when it comes to something like cold calling, you can really hire people who have never done sales. And I've witnessed it. I've even recruited people for that, where you go, you know what, bring 100 people per day. They've done that for 3 weeks. They've not made a single sale. but they keep persevering because a lot of the times it's large companies that have been doing it for years. So they go, this company's obviously got a game plan. This is why they're so big, because they have this process.
Yeah.
You carry on, even though you're ringing 100 people per day, you've not made a single sale, probably not even made that next move for 3 weeks, you're committed to it. I feel like the challenge is when it comes to social media, any sort of social selling, it's not a new way of life because social's been around for a long time, but it's a new channel. Like it's a new sort of sales outreach. Even when you're getting a couple no's, it can feel like the worst thing in the world. But if you were cold calling people, you can go, you know what? I know I need to get 100 no's to get that 7 yeses.
Yeah.
But if you were to pitch 100 people on LinkedIn.
But on LinkedIn, I don't know if because it feels very real because your profile's there, you've got to physically write something, you're seeing people ignore you. Like, I don't know if there's a thing where it's like, it's almost too upfront and it's too in your face, so you can't hide from it. Whereas if you're ringing someone, they're not answering their mobile. They don't know who I am.
Natural salespeople, if anyone called me, like when I had that call earlier, I was just like, oh God, phone call. That's literally, I was like, oh no.
I haven't had one of these for 5 years.
Literally, I was just having like flashbacks.
But like, I'm the same. Like even when I get cold call, you almost go, that doctor, is that a solicitor that have I registered to some recently? And you go, hello. Yeah. So,
but you'll get the same reaction if someone called me up. It was like John down the road. I'd be like, okay, why? And then if EE called me up as well, I'd be like, why? You know, it's like one of those sort of things. That's why.
When your girlfriend calls you,
why? Yeah, but with messaging, it's like texting. You can just drop a quick text and you can do it. So because it's too easy to do, too many people think it's right to do it, and it's not. It should be treated kind of like a phone call. It's like you're actually involving yourself into someone's life by doing that.
Like, there is a skill to anything. Okay, so like same with people who go, my sales process is I find my people on LinkedIn, I'm going to pitch them. I tell you now, it just does not work. Like, yeah, you might get lucky, you might find the odd yes, but if you're looking to build a consistent pipeline, which is what most people want, you're not a one-trick pony, you're not trying to make sales and run off to Mexico and live on a beach. Like it sounds nice. but
we're my goal.
But we're here to build like a sustainable business. So really, if that is your strategy, unfortunately, it's not going to work. Because when I say it's an art, same with your cold calling, same with your face to face. Imagine if your cold calling tactic was, let's ring people and say, do you want to buy social selling training? You can get anyone off the street to do that. I mean, you could make an AI system that would do it because you're just looking for yeses and nos. The good cold callers, when you answer the phone, they almost ask you those weird questions and it makes you think, and then all of a sudden you're talking about something else, or they can get you into a conversation already, so it feels like you know this person and it doesn't feel like a cold call anymore. Same with anyone who does in-person networking. If you just went up to everyone going, "Hi, Luke, see you're here. Do you want to buy my social selling program and I give you my business card?" If I just done that all the time, would I really find business? Maybe you might get lucky and you might get someone I'll go, oh, I really needed social selling training. Great, this guy's giving me his business card. That's still luck.
Also, it'd be fun watching you go around the entire ring doing the same thing.
But the good people are the ones who can go up to stands and go, oh, Luke, how come you've been, oh, actually, I recognise your company. Don't you guys do this? Do you guys come to this conference much? And already we're into a conversation. Yeah. Oh, Luke, what is it you do? Oh, marketing. No way. So you run events. Where's your best event? Do events in the US, because I'm always out in the US. Already I'm building rapport. So that's still a skill. But it's going actually on social selling. Yes, it might just be social media. And yes, your audience are there with no gatekeepers. There needs to be an art. Same with any sort of communication. Same if you're on sales calls with anyone. Just because they're on a sales calls and they're interested with your business doesn't mean you should just pitch them for 20 minutes.
No.
Yeah.
Because there's no art. I mean, like there's no communication.
Anyone could just read off a big script, couldn't they?
Yeah. You know, times I've read just being like, just jumping this forward, or just, in case you've missed this. There's been so many different things. Like, I haven't missed it. I've read it and I've completely ignored it.
Yeah.
So I reckon being real is a good way of getting some attention, because if you just drop a huge message, nothing else. Like, first communication with you, I'll just send you my entire deck of why you should be part of this business right now, why this is interesting. I've seen it so many times, and you can tell people are automating it because they've sent it to everyone in this building. It's just because it's inauthentic, because it's just this huge thing, and it's so easy to be rude online as well.
Yeah.
People will just ignore it. So yeah, it is an art form to actually get responses nowadays, not just via like on a phone call. Even like getting people to answer their phone sometimes can be an art.
Definitely.
But yeah, getting any type of response in a conversation, a back and forth, that's probably harder than any other conversation you'll have. That initial back and forth you have. And there's so many ways you can get it right, and there's so many ways people are getting it wrong.
Definitely. And with anything, when you got that plan and you can have all of these goals, these milestones, if you don't practice it, like you're saying there, just don't get better.
Yeah, you got to be willing to have a door slammed in your face.
Like, people learn from their losses and wins. Like,
not everyone.
Yeah, not everyone. But wins. So like, you learn when you win. You go, actually, I know how to win again.
Yeah.
But you learn from your losses, because you go, why isn't this working with this so many people? Something needs to be tweaked. Something's not working right. But until you go through that process, you're never going to know.
Cool.
Deep, right?
Too much.
That was like a moment we should just fade to black.
I only came down for a podcast. Perfect. Well, yeah, that wraps up the second episode of our podcast.
Likes from Leeds, that's the thing then.
Thanks
It's
to
so
Likes for
memorable.
Leeds.
Yeah.
Sales sorcery.
Sales sorcery. Sales fails.
Sales fail. Leads to likes. No. But yeah, this has been our second episode of Likes to Leads. Thank you for everyone for joining us.